Holy smokes, Rip City, it has been an absolute minute. Because you know what? I have been busier than all can be between OSAA championships and this Blazer season. Doing my best, but here we are. Got to get an episode in. This is the 1977 podcast, a podcast that runs 19 minutes and 77 seconds long in honor of your 1977 World Championship Portland Trail Blazers. And today's episode is a lot less to do with the Blazers and a lot more to do with the state of the NBA, man, because there has been some stuff going on over the last few days that I do not like. I do not like. And I know that I am fully becoming old man yells at cloud guy. 100% becoming that person. Because I am over here going, back in my day, yeah. That's how I feel right now. But after what Toronto and Washington did at their stops in Portland on Sunday and Monday, boy howdy, how can you not be irritated with the absolute nonsense that has become tanking? All right? Because Toronto takes out their starters, doesn't play them in the fourth quarter, right? Scotty Barnes out, Jakob Poeltl out. They go with their entire bench in the fourth quarter outside of Agbaji, who got in, and he was the lone starter who played in the fourth quarter, which is just asinine. Scotty Barnes had like 16 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. He had 6 steals, or something like that. It was crazy what he was doing. He was all over the place. But then they take him out, right? It's like, okay, I see what you're doing here. Then the Blazers have the ball with 15 seconds left. They have a 1-point lead. Everybody who's ever played a game of basketball, watched a game of basketball, thought that they might understand basketball, understand what's going to happen in that situation. Foul! As soon as the ball is inbounded, we're going to foul. We're going to send them to the line. We're going to hope they miss some shots. We're going to have a chance. What do the Raptors do? Oh, they just kind of go through a frolic in the park. They let 10 seconds go off the clock. And then they foul the Blazers with 5 seconds remaining, which again, egregious. Egregious. You did this on purpose. Okay, we could foul, go to the line and have 14 seconds, which is more than enough time to run a quick offensive set. Or we could let 10 seconds run off the clock, foul with 5 seconds left, and just have to pass and chuck it up. Let's eliminate our chances of tying this game. And then when they do run the inbounds play, who do they throw it to? They throw it to Robinson, who was a game worst, negative 27. Negative 27. A guy who's not known for his 3-point prowess. That's who they tossed it to, who gets the last second shot. It was I'm going to tank masterclass. It was gross, but it was a masterclass. And we sat there, and on the post-game shows, we talked about how egregious it was. The podcast that morning, we're talking about how egregious it was, how terrible of a look it was. The NBA needs to do something. And then the Washington Wizards came to town last night. And you're sitting there, and you're like, okay, we know Washington's bad. They are right there with Utah as the worst team in the league. They're like a game back right now. They're in a battle. I get it. But you know what? They're just bad, so we'll see what happens. I don't expect them to do anything crazy. What do? They repeat what the Toronto Raptors did. Not as bad, because Toronto took out their starters in the third quarter and in the late fourth quarter when they had the lead. They took them out when they had the lead. At least in the Washington game, Portland was winning. But Washington said, yeah, you're winning, and we're going to make sure it stays that way. Because Chris Middleton and Jordan Poole each only played 10 minutes. Did not play a single second in the second half. That's terrible. That is terrible. Alex Sarr, their prized second overall pick, their prized pick from last year. He comes in. He subs out midway through the third, doesn't play again. What in the heck? And you look at the box score. You look at the lineup late, just like that Raptors game. Everybody who started the game sitting on the bench, and your bench guys getting, the entire fourth quarter to try to make a comeback. They tried to make it close. They got it. They got it within striking distance. They were never really in danger of stealing the game away from the Blazers. But that was by design, right? That was by design. They took everybody out, and they said, "Yep, we're just going to keep it this way, and you guys can deal with the rest." And again, that is gross. That is gross. And all it is Toronto and Washington playing the game, right? So this is like, don't hate the player to hate the game, right? It's kind of like when Dan Lanning had the 12 men on the field and it ended up biting Ohio, and everyone's like, he's cheated. Like, no, he didn't. That's not cheating. That's the loophole in the rule. The rule is dumb. And so what Washington and Toronto did is, like I said, a masterclass in tanking. What they did was, I guess you would say, smart. Doesn't mean I have to like it. Okay, because all they were doing was, hey, the NBA is really cracking down on teams sitting their stars. Well, guess what? We didn't sit them. We just didn't play them. Like we played them for the first half and then didn't put them back in. So you can't hit us with any fine for sitting healthy players. We played our healthy players. We just played them a limited amount of minutes. And the NBA is not going to be able to crack down on that, because the NBA is not going to be able to come in and be like, okay, so new rule, like if a player starts a game, he has to play a minimum of 20 minutes if he is a starter. Like, and bench players can't play more than, like, you can't come in and start to dictate how minutes are distributed. That's the tough part. But you can definitely look at what Washington and Toronto did and go, that is not the nature of the rule, right? That is not within what was really designed for. You found the loophole, took advantage of it. Okay, kudos to you. I guess it's a smart play, but it is still stupid. It is still stupid. And you know what? I think this is a situation, and I hope this is a situation, quite honestly, where you have played with the basketball gods. You have tempted fate. Kind of trying to bite the hand that feeds, right? And so I hope Toronto and I hope Washington both get with a great lottery position. I hope Washington ends first overall. I hope Toronto sits there at number 5, wherever they're in that race for. And I hope they both sit there with great chances to get the number 1 pick. And then someone like Portland or Chicago, or hell, at this point, even San Antonio, jumps in and gets that number 1 pick and says, yeah, that's what you get for tempting fate. Bite the hand will slap back. I just don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like the sitting of the stars. You guys know this about me. If you listen to Blazers Game Day in the 5th quarter and this podcast, you listen to the Trailcasters with Keith and I whenever he actually records, I am not Team Tank in any aspect. I don't like it. I don't like the precedent it sets to try to lose as many games as possible on purpose. I would rather put my best foot forward. And you know what? If I end up being the 10th seed in the lottery, I'm the 10th seed in the lottery. I'm not sitting here and going to lose on purpose just so I have better odds at possibly getting the number 1 pick. I don't like that. But what I don't like more is pulling players out of the game on purpose to lower your chances of winning the game. Like, again, I don't like when you sit there and you're like, yeah, we are resting our players today. Okay? Now, it wasn't for tanking purposes, right? But Portland goes into Oklahoma City, who is one of, if not the best team in the NBA. They're like, you know what? Portland is not a great team. We're going to use this time to sit our guys, let our bench just get a good run, and see what happens. Okay? Now, I get it. I also don't like that. I don't like the resting of the stars. I think anyone who paid their hard-earned money deserved to see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander that night, right? I don't like that, but I get it. And I don't like it when it comes to tanking either. When, you're sitting there and you go, to play at Toronto, and they're not playing. If they sit there and like, yeah, we're not going to play Scotty Barnes. Yeah, he's not playing. He's out tonight to DMP, rest. I don't like it. But at least you went there and you put your best foot forward the entire game, told you guys, go get it. Okay? You guys, you're going to start. You're going to do this. Go after it. Have some fun. Ball out. But again, when you start your players and then you pull them out with the lead in the game like Toronto did, or you sit there and you're like, yep, we're not playing you guys beyond the 5-minute mark of the third quarter like Washington did. Boy, I think you have slapped the basketball gods in the face. And that's a dumb move. That is a dumb move. And you know what? I would be all over this the exact same way if it was Portland. I'll tell you that much. If Portland sat there and they started Tumani Kamara and Denny Avdia and Anthony Simons like they usually do, and Portland has a 10-point lead in the third quarter, and then they take out all their stars and they run Justin Minaya and Bryce McGowan's the rest of the way, I'd be irritated. And I'd call them out on that nonsense too. And that's not even a disrespect to Minaya or McGowan or the bench players for those other teams. But there's a reason you're not in the starting lineup or the main rotation, right? Okay, just how the depth chart plays out. Then you take your best players out and just say, yeah, nope, mailing this one in. Irritates me so much. I don't like it. I don't like the slippery slope this sets. I don't like the fact that he sat there and literally said, you know what, we're going to do whatever we can within our means to make it harder for my team to win this game. Because the Warriors aren't going out, or excuse me, the Wizards aren't going out there and losing on purpose, right? They're not going to tell their guys to, okay, I need you to miss the shots on purpose, right? I need you to not play hard. They're not doing that. What they're doing is taking out the players who have the best chance of hitting those shots and hitting the tying shot as time expires and stopping the Blazers defensively. They're taking out their best players. They're telling the guys on the floor to play as absolutely as hard as they can, knowing full well that they can't compete with the starting lineup that's still on the floor for the other team. That's dumb. I don't like it. I'm not completely hating what Washington and Toronto did because, again, I think this is definitely more don't hate the player, hate the game. And so this is directed at the NBA and how they have to fix this thing because that is stupid. It is dumb. It's messed up, really. It's messed up. I mean, I know Jordan Poole and Chris Middleton aren't the stars to end all stars, right? But still, if you paid your hard-earned money to go to Moda Center last night, you deserve to watch a full game of Chris Middleton and Jordan Poole. And definitely a full game of Sar, right? And if you paid your hard-earned money to go to Moda Center to see the Toronto Raptors, you absolutely deserve to see a full game out of Scotty Barnes. I don't like that, man. I don't like that one bit. But you know what? Enough of what I don't like. Let me tell you what I do like. You know what I do like? Holy hell, I like Matisse Thybulle. It is so nice to see Tease back in the lineup. Made his return over the weekend. Gets into that Toronto game, plays 6 minutes, and has the most impactful 6 minutes of any Blazer on the floor that night. Absolutely incredible. Plays 6 minutes, leads the team in plus-minus and +7. That was the type of game it was. Comes in, doesn't register a point, doesn't take a single shot, but he ends with a couple steals and a block shot in 6 minutes of action. Gets the block shot to steal the deal. Seal the deal, steal the deal, I don't know. That was an unintentional play on words. But no, he gets the block shot on that three-pointer to tie it, which is just so fitting. A Hollywood-type story that is hard to write, and it happens before your eyes. The smile on his face as he corrals the loose ball and the buzzer sounds was just, a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? You could tell how happy it was to be out there. I loved his post-game media availability when he was talking about the fatigue of the game, and he's talking about how it's not just the physical part. He said, you got to deal with the cognitive load was the term he used, and talking about how the brain gets tired because you're processing so much, and you put that with the physical, and it exhausts you, especially when you haven't played. And I just laughed because I'm like, Matisse Thybulle is the only player in the NBA who would bust out cognitive load in the middle of a post-game presser. He is such an intellectual, and I love it. I love it. And then against Washington, goes in, plays 22 minutes, gets a couple points, a couple rebounds, fills up the stat sheet again with steals. 5 of them. He had 5 steals. Yeah, he's here to play defense and chew bubblegum, and he's all out of bubblegum, right? So nice to see him on the floor. And what's interesting with him is you got to remember he has a player option. A player option estimated around 11 and a half mil. And for Tease, it makes all the sense in the world to pick that option up. So I fully anticipate Portland having him at their disposal next season. Because after missing an entire year, like I know Matisse Thybulle has value, but after missing an entire year of basketball, I don't know if 14 games is enough to really show that value off and see what you have to head into free agency with. So I think it makes the absolute most sense for him is to get a guaranteed 11.5 mil. Don't play the lottery game of free agency just yet. Have a year where you're healthy, you can play and show it off a little bit, and then you can hit free agency, and either Portland pays you to keep you around or someone says, yep, we need you. Here it is. Let's go. But I think that's what's going to happen. And then you salivate a little bit at the potential of having lineups that run Matisse Thybulle and Toumani Camara out there. Or obviously Matisse coming in for Toumani Camara and not skipping a beat, whether you're running your first team or your second team unit. You have just an all-league caliber defender just shutting cats down, man. That's great. That's phenomenal. And we have gushed over Toumani Camara all year long, rightfully so. He's been so damn good. So damn good. But in 2 games, Matisse Thybulle showed you why he is an all-NBA defender. I mean, that is his defense. Money. Cash it. So good. And it's so good to see him back, ain't it? So good to see him back. And one thing that's kind of crazy, too, is he talked about the ovation he got from Blazers fans. The welcome as he checked in and how he didn't really expect it. Like, it was really nice. He didn't expect it after being so long. Sometimes you worry about being forgotten. And it was nice that Blazer fans didn't forget about Matisse. They were happy to see him, and I think it showed. And I mean, I know he's a guy who's always smiling, but sometimes the guy who always smiles and is always happy, every once in a while you watch him crack a smile that's just a little bit bigger and brighter than normal, and you know it's a good one. And he had a couple of those over the last 2 days. And one of them was the Blazer fans' reaction, and the other one was after that blocked shot, where it was like, yeah, I'm back, and it feels so good. It feels so good to be back. So good to be back. Feels good to be back here on the podcast, too. Promised you guys I'm going to try to do more, but boy, howdy, my schedule. Kind of crazy when you're trying to cover all these Blazer games and state championships for the OSAA. We just ran the 3-week gauntlet of wrestling championships, 1, 2, 3A championships across the state, and then just wrapped up 4, 5, and 6A championship basketball, which was absolutely phenomenal. Barlow winning their first ever championship. Tualatin pulling a massive upset over Clackamas. Boy, howdy. What a few weeks of sports around the state. So I appreciate you guys still tuning in, still talking to me, still looking for the podcast, despite the fact that it's been quite a bit of time since I got another episode up. But you got one in today as a semi drives by, because sometimes you just grab the mic and you record in the commute to work because that's the only time you have to do it. And that's why we're here, man. But I appreciate you, the listener, more than you know. As a reminder, you can get plenty of Blazer content from myself over on Rip City Radio. Just listen to Blazers Game Day 2 hours before every Blazers game, and the 5th quarter after every Blazers game, all on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. And of course, you can listen on the iHeart app, our YouTube page. You don't have to have an old school radio to tune in. And you can find me on socials at Chris J. Burkhardt. To the fans of the 1977, you've been awesome. Thanks for tuning in. I will talk to you on the next one.
You've been listening to the 1977 podcast. See you next time.